I did 176 stories over 22 years. It was my hobby, actually, and I didn't think anything of it, really. It just fell into place, I think.
Dorothy Hallam had always liked taking photos. But it wasn't until 1959 that she started filming home movies of her 3 children and her family's orchard on an 8mm camera.
Not very many people filmed with movie cameras in those days.
In 1960, television came to Hobart.
From the top of Mount Wellington, Channel 2 transmits to Tasmania.
Dorothy's husband Morris submitted some story ideas to the ABC, prompting the news editor, Warren Denning, to ask Morris if he'd be an ABC correspondent on the Tasman Peninsula.
So we invited him and his wife Esther to lunch. After lunch, I showed them the movie of The Orchard. I think he was impressed. He kept saying he wished he could find someone with a 16mm camera down here.
As luck would have it, an ABC cameraman was selling his 16mm Bolex camera. Dorothy and Morris bought it for £150 so she could film his stories.
We brought it home, spent the following week learning how to use the Bolex. That was the beginning of the filming.
Most of Dorothy's work covered local industries, events and tourism on the peninsula.
Despite the difficulties, dozens of tourists make the trip from Port Arthur.
Morris would write the story summary and Dorothy would film.
On Tasman Peninsula, most pear trees have been decked with blossom for some time. However,
sometimes Dorothy would do the whole job herself. She filmed the search for missing child Ricky Smith at Eagle Hawk Neck in 1975.
This well-dressed man walked along the road past me. He said, "It's a terrible thing about this little boy, isn't it?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And I went with him, filming under logs and round bits of tin and ferns and in the bush. And of course he knew very well that we weren't going to find Ricky. His name was James O'Neill, and he was later charged with the murder of this little boy.
James Ryan O'Neill was convicted and jailed for the murder. Some of Dorothy's shoots were more difficult than others.
Tasman Island, that was one of the most dramatic stories that I did.
The stormy waters of the Tasman Sea have lashed the coastline since the beginning of time.
We had to wait till the dinghy was on the peak of a wave before we could jump up into the flying fox, which was dangling on the wire. And then we were propelled along the wire cable to the landing, which was 100 feet above sea level.
There was then a trip up a steep trolleyway to film a story about families living at the lighthouse.
It takes just 5 minutes to haul the trolley up the 900-foot incline.
Dorothy filmed for the ABC between 1961 and 1983, first in black and white and later in colour. She mostly shot without a tripod, using the Bolex handheld.
It's a very heavy camera and it's very hard to use. There's no automatic exposure, no automatic focus. The lenses were difficult to turn the exposure on, to hold it with a small viewfinder.
Dorothy was a stringer, a freelancer paid on a job-by-job basis, and she was one of the very first women to film for the ABC.
I might have been one of the beginners with female photography, but it didn't occur to me then. It was a hobby, so I just did it.
Looking at her work, particularly at that time, she was an exceptional cinematographer. Not just with her technical skills, which she mastered, without anybody teaching her, but her storytelling.
Local historian James Parker heard about Dorothy's work for the ABC. With a grant, the local History Society got the films digitised.
Every now and then you come across a nugget that you just know really means something. And here on the Tasman Peninsula, we have this amazing moving image record of a society in flux.
I think Dorothy's legacy will be as a great Australian, great Tasmanian, and a great pioneer for cinematography and the ABC News.
I enjoyed every minute of it, I'll put it that way.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.